All right, lean in. Let me just tell you real quick what we're doing. So, I'll have to ask you about your acting, of course, and whether or not when you do go to the music, I got to know, are you actually singing or are you just acting like you're singing? So, oh, we're rolling. Welcome, I'm Clint Black, and tonight I am talking in circles with Dennis Quaid. Yeah. So, lots to cover with you, and you've done so much. We're both from Houston, and music was our first passion. Mm-hmm. And looking at the career you've had, and it doesn't seem like music is your first passion. Looks like you really dedicated yourself to something entirely other than music.
My dad was a frustrated actor. There was a legend, that he was in World War II. He was in San Francisco, and some talent scout saw him and wanted him to do a screen test, and he had to ship out. Whether that's true, I don't know, or how much of it is true, I don't know. My dad was a frustrated actor, that's for sure. And he had my brother and I watch movies, of actors that he liked, and he would croon around the house to Bing Crosby and Dean Martin, and Bing Crosby was his Elvis, basically. That's, I think, what drew my brother and I to it. And then Gene Autry is my cousin, third cousin. And so growing up, I had that in my head.
Yeah. When I heard that music was your first passion, but you shifted to acting, I'm imagining that maybe acting you hadn't thought of, but that was already around too.
Yeah, music was really first. I got a guitar when I was 12 years old. And first song I tried to learn was Light My Fire, because that was the current hit that was out there.
And it was great.
It's an impossible song for a beginner to learn, Light My Fire. So I didn't learn it. I learned Johnny Cash instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was much simpler. And Johnny Cash is still my musical hero, I think.
I think I hear a lot of him and you. There's a lot of what you sing, the country stuff you do.
Well, he's a story song. He does story songs. And I love story songs. And it's the way he puts himself out there emotionally. And I think he's such a good person at heart. But, he's prone to to get himself into trouble. And I kind of relate to that, too.
So Waylon Jennings, too.
Waylon Jennings as well. Dreaming My Dreams is my favorite record, period, that came out. Jack Clement produced that. And
you wrote one of the greatest, Let's
All Help the Cowboys Sing the Blues. Then Jack
yeah.
Clement wound up turning out to be my musical mentor years later. Yeah.
Cowboy Jack and you.
Cowboy Jack. I was doing my first music movie called The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And we were shooting in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yeah. And I was staying at the Reed House, and there was a knock on my door, and this man was standing there, and he said, "How would you like to be a country western star?"
They're always coming around.
Yeah, and it was Jack Clement. He come over there because he wanted to get into the movie business, and he moved into my suite and stayed for 2 months.
Yeah, how many of us haven't made it that way?
But
you knew who he was when he knocked?
Well, I didn't know who he was, but I did know who he was because of I was so enamored of Sun Studios already, and
you knew what he did.
And Dreaming My Dreams, was out by that time, and so when I found out who he was, it was before that.
Yes, you can stay.
Yeah. What side of the bed do you want?
So I hear this country stuff in you, and one of my favorite things of yours is Friends. I just love what it says about your heart and who your friends are.
Yeah.
You know, you've got black friends and brown friends and butt ugly friends and all kinds of friends.
Sometimes you choose your friends, and sometimes they choose you.
Yeah. Dennis Quaid and the Sharks is something entirely different.
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, it feels like that's a different lane.
Yeah, that's a different
decidedly.
land that, really came out of L.A., basically.
It's rocking.
Yeah, because I always had bands. I had a band in the 80s, which was basically Bonnie Raitt's band, same guys. And look, the night that we got our record deal, we played at the Palace Theater over on Vine Street, and the record company came out to see us, and, we got the deal. And we actually broke up that very night in the dressing room. And the next day, I was in rehab for cocaine.
You took the breaking up as a sign.
I had one of those white light experiences, actually. I think, we broke up probably because of, among other things, but prominent was probably, I was pretty much out of control.
Didn't set yourself up for success.
No, I really didn't. And so I didn't really play music for 10 years because I associated it so much, probably with, getting high and stuff like that. And then starting around 2000, I just went through a big change in life again, and I decided I was going to start playing again. So Harry Dean Stanton, I went down to see him play at this club in L.A., and that's where I met Jamie, my guitar player, and we put a band together, and it was just the Sharks. And
it's a great band.
It's a great, we have a lot of fun, and that's what it's basically for.
Well, I have to say, my favorite song on that Out of the Box is Peaches Number 9.
Yeah.
I was going to call you Peaches, but I thought that may have been too. You are Peaches Number 9 in the song, and that killed me. I just loved that story.
It's a song about my dog.
Oh.
Yeah, it sounds like it's about. It's about little my bulldog Peaches.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Peaches Number 9.
Everybody's in love with her.
Well, I still like the song.
Yeah.
The experience with the killer, Jerry Lee, when you did that, I didn't know. Yeah. Goodness gracious. I didn't know, and maybe it's not true, that he actually taught you to play piano.
He was one of my teachers, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't play piano. I got that role when I was 33. And I was on cocaine at the time, so I could sit at a piano for 12 hours and just, be obsessed. And so I sat at a piano for 12 hours a day for a year. I had a year to prepare for it. And Jerry Lee was one of my teachers, yeah. I had like 3 teachers.
That's just crazy.
I just wanted to be able to look like I could do it, but I kept it up afterwards. And still doing it. He's a virtuoso. I mean, incredible.
I'm wondering if you forgot you weren't him when you did that Billy Gibbons tribute over at the Opry, and you're up playing with your feet, banging your feet on the piano.
Yeah, back then I kind of couldn't let go of a role. Like I used to take it home, but I've learned since
to the Billy
I've learned
Gibbons
since
tribute.
how to take it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to live that way 24/7.
I had to bring that up because I've got the evidence of your
is that the
appearance
key I
there
wrote?
in the Billy Gibbons
Really?
tribute. Yeah. Playing with your feet.
Play with my feet.
And as a member of the Grand Ole Opry, I've been tasked with getting you to pay the
invoice on
repair
that?
bill on this.
Oh, wait a minute, $1,500
They're
for
proud of that key.
what?
They're really proud of it.
Well, I didn't even make that much that night. I don't get it.
There's a funny difference between pay scale and music scale.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's a good one. Okay, I'll just give this to my accountant.
So I'm glad to hear you kept up the piano, because you do all these roles and you acquire these skills. And I was curious how many you bring along with you.
I really learned a lot by being an actor. Probably why I chose this. I was really obsessed about what made people tick, the psychology of a person. And I got that with Mr. Pickett at the University of Houston about really what acting was when I was 19 years old in his class for the first week. I was lucky that I realized what I really wanted to do was to do that, be an actor. He really kind of made it real. He made it like a craft you could learn. But I was really interested in what made people tick. And so, like, every time I get a role, it's always like research into like what makes people tick. Part of it is what they do and, you know, where they grew up and, you know, who their parents were, what kind of culture they grew up in, you know, what kind of physical limitations they have, you know, why do they walk that way? Why do they this and that, you know?
Talcum powder.
Yeah. But along with that, you get to go through, you know, like I played an astronaut, so I got to go to like Cocoa Beach and, you know, out to Edwards Air Force Base. You go through all those doors that say authorized personnel only, and you get to go through there and behind there and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So I got my pilot's license on the right stuff, and
It's crazy.
got to play professional football, you know, kind of make believe a couple of times, and you know, I got to play professional baseball, you know, in Texas Stadium up there on the mound, you know.
You had to have worked on, the demands on your arm to throw those pitches. That had to be scary.
I played Little League Baseball, but that was the last time I had thrown. But, you know, I pitched every other day, and I had another year to prepare for that. Then I got myself actually pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I never put myself on a radar gun because I'm supposed to be this guy throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and I was going to be really disappointed. So I just wanted to feel like
0 to 60 by the time you hit the plate.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, politics aside, was one of the most fun people to ever hit Washington, I think.
Yeah.
I see more on the Tic Tac of his jokes popping up, and I'm curious about so many things about you portraying him. I'm curious if you know every joke he ever told.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And he was already my favorite president of the 20th century, you know, and I got offered to play him, and I went, no, just no way I could do this. But then, you know, I thought about it more and more, and I had this like fear chill go up your spine and usually that's a sign that maybe I should do that.
Yeah,
but, you know, you want to run from it at first.
I've been asked to do things, and that thing went, no,
Yeah.
no way. And then the thought, I know in my mind, I guess my body knows that I just consider that maybe I will, and fear just overwhelms me because I go, all right, I'm going to think about doing this, and it's frightening.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is like. I like that.
You're going to portray someone who's fresh in our minds.
Yeah, the thing was to make him into a human being. And there's part of Ronald Reagan that was kind of unknowable even to those who were closest to him. Because he was such a public person, you know, and he had such a optimistic, sunny disposition and stuff. But in private, he went into kind of his own world. Yeah, I think he kept something there that was kind of impenetrable.
I have a friend who does a really great impression of him, and I'm wondering, how do you straddle that line between caricature?
Well, I didn't want to do like an impression of him. That was where I was so afraid of, because everybody knows what Ronald Reagan looks like and what he sounds like and everything that goes with it. I just wanted to kind of learn it and forget it, because I also had to play him back when he was a very young man in his 30s. So it took him from 30 to 80 something. And it's the story of his whole life. And it's not just an homage to him. It's really, try to portray a human being.
Yep, all of those leaders, and you go back all the way, and some of them really are just pictures on a dollar bill to a lot of people. You know, the way Washington was, you know, at the time of that portrait that's on the bill versus who Washington was when he was I think, a captain in the British Army or whatever. Those are real people, and that far back, you know, we didn't really have anything to go on. But Reagan, you know, that is biting off a lot to chew for somebody so recent. Other actors have done presidents like Nixon, and I suppose somebody will do Clinton and
Well, I
the
did
others.
that too.
You did Clinton?
Yes, I did. I did that for Dick Clinton about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, for HBO, we did a thing of that. In fact, my first shot of Reagan, it was all, you know, done up as Reagan and stuff in the Oval Office. And first scene was after the Pope has been shot. I said, "Is anybody called on take one?" I did Clinton.
So you're working on an album now. You're going through.
We're doing a
that.
gospel record right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Over in Twitty City.
Twitty City.
Twitty City. And really having a blast.
All
just been
original
me
compositions.
doing like 5 old-time gospel songs that I grew up with. You know, they were favorites of mine, favorite of my mom's. I grew up Southern Baptist, you know, in Houston. So we did a lot of singing. That was just the way it was. And then 5 that I wrote. Some of them are from the past, and a couple of them I wrote while we've been doing the record, which is that's really exciting to me, to actually work on something and write for the record while you're making it, because it gives yourself like kind of a time limit and ticking clock, and you're
also
forced
have
to
a
kind of come up
context.
and dig deep about something, you know?
I mean, and you know the context, right? I mean, you're getting a sense of what you have and what you might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you only write by yourself, right?
Well, I have written with people before, but I've mostly written by myself in reflection. Yeah. I've been to, you know, these writing sessions here in town, and I think they're really great. They're great exercise to really kind of like stimulate you and get you writing, so that, you know, even if 90% of what you're doing is mediocre, 10% of it is great. Well, fantastic.
Yeah.
You know?
Chinese proverb, one way to have a great idea is to have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Jack Lemmon used to say you bring 40 songs for a record, and you'll wind up with 10.
Yeah.
But
I usually have about 30.
yeah.
And that's just out of
That you're like married to, right?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would record these.
Yeah. And you wind up with, after a while, get out of here.
I've had songs that got pushed back for decades.
Yeah.
I just released one called This Old House, and that was one that we wrote for killing time. But we only wanted one waltz on the album, and we had it with Walking Away. So This Old House got pushed back, and new songs come, and new is more exciting, and it got pushed back for 30 years. You know, I always thought it was a strong composition, but when I revisited it, I fell in love with it again, and then recorded it, and I thought, you know, this is why did I do that with this song? And then I had this epiphany that it is a member of the Opry. I suddenly saw this as speaking directly to what we have at the Grand Ole Opry.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, I should get all my friends who are Opry members to sing on it. And they came and lent their voices to it. And man, and then it was just madly in love with it. It just became this whole new animal. And then I'm glad I waited.
I find making records is a lot more fun than making movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much more fun because it's so immediate. You get more immediate satisfaction from it, I think.
Yeah. I have one more question for you.
Yes.
When you get to heaven, if you could sing a song with someone who's already there, who would it be, and what song would you sing?
Life is like a mountain railway. I'd probably sing it with my mom because that's who I'm going to see when I get there.
So now that you've sung with your mom, and that's very sweet, but after that, you got your mom, you've sung a song, and now who are you going to go find?
Gene Autry, I guess.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
A song in mind?
He wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I think they'll like Christmas songs in heaven.
I think they will.
Well, let's hope it's a long, long time from now, as we like having you here. Thanks, Dennis.
I like being here.